Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Let's begin the news by bringing you updates from Kano. The latest is that a high court there has ordered the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, to stop parading himself as Emir. The court also directed the police commissioner to evict him from the mini palace on State Road. The court, presided over by Justice Emir Aminu Aliyu, gave the order on Monday. Similarly, the order restrained Alhaji Nasiru Ado Bayero, Ibrahim Abubakar II, Kabiru Muhammad Inuwa, and Alhaji Aliyu Ibrahim Gaya from parading themselves as Emir of Bichi, Gaya, Rano, and Karaye. Joining me now on the news to discuss this is a Northern history teacher, Emir Aminu. Emir, thank you for joining us. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that you can hear me. We have another court ruling on this matter, this time directing the Commissioner of Police in the state to evict the deposed Emir. We also know that there is an interim injunction preventing the deposed Emir from parading himself as Emir. The first order was not obeyed by the state. Do you expect that the police will obey this latest ruling?
Actually, I'm not a lawyer, but in my understanding, I know rule of law must be respected. So the first injunction was by a federal high court, which recognizes Alhaji Dr. Aminu Bayero as the Emir of Kano. And the court asks for status quo. So actually, recently, we heard about the second one. So I don't know. So for the government, first of all, has to obey the first order because it was issued by our court of law. And in this 21st century, I think we have to abide by, we have to respect rule of law in the 21st century. Yeah.
All right, the dethroned Emir and the reinstated Emir both held court in different palaces. For the first time in the history of this state, there seem to be two reigning Emirs in Kano. Is that an accurate description of the situation? And what does this mean, or rather the implications for the Kano Emirate?
Now we have to, because to avoid contempt, we have to wait for the court to act. Because Nigeria itself is under rule of law. And rule of law has to be respected, as I said earlier. So Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero is the present Emir, and the first injunction recognizes him as the Emir. So actually now is the issue of two palaces. So we have to look back at the emirate system or the kingship system before the emirate system, because the kingship system was introduced in Nigeria for more than 1,000 years, while the emirship system was introduced for more than 200 years, 1804 in the 19th century. So actually, where the emir resides becomes the palace, because the emir, the emirship is all about the emir, not palace. It doesn't matter whether an emir is in the palace or outside palace. Once by law he is the emir, he remains the emir. Because like in Kano here, the kingship and the emirate system started about 1,025 years now. The first ruling house was Bagauda dynasty. The Bagauda dynasty reigned from 999 AD to 1463. They ruled for 464 years. They had a total 20 emirs, 20 kings, 20 kings. So prior to that 1463, there was no palace. Anywhere the emir resides becomes the palace. So the kings stays in their houses as the palace. That is where the courtiers, the royal, the palace guards will come and gather and rule from there. So when Emir Rumfa came on board in 1463, 1471 he started the construction of Gida Rumfa and completed it in 1478. So the emirs, the kings spent 479 years without palace system. So it was introduced.
So what I'm trying to, what you're saying basically is that it doesn't matter the structure where the meetings hold. It is where the emir is. That's where the palace is. But you found a way not to answer the question whether we now have two emirs in Kano. Would you want to attempt a response to that?
What I think I have answered that question, because I said only the courts can determine, because this is, we don't have to
okay, I guess we'll have to leave. We'll have to leave that part of the conversation since we're waiting for the courts to decide. But we can talk about the fact that a former presidential candidate of the PDP in the last election, Atiku Abubakar, has accused the federal government of backing the deposed emir's return as an attempt, according to him, to destabilize Kano, and he says this will be resisted. My question would be, was his call maybe a bit premature, or is it a fair warning that we should heed?
I beg your pardon, please?
Okay, I'm asking about, did you hear that the former presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has reacted to the crisis in Kano?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, so basically what I'm asking is your reaction. Do you think his attack on the federal government is proactive, or it's too early?
Actually, it's too early to attack the federal government. As I said earlier, we have to wait for the rule of law to act, because we know we have three arms of government: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. So this is where the executive and the judiciary have already did their part. So we are waiting for the court to do, its part. So I think it's better.
All right, Mokhtar, thank you very much for speaking with us while we wait for the court's responses.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, has held a mini carnival at his Gaidam Nasarawa Palace in Kano State. The royal father received his supporters and followers amidst widespread jubilation as he welcomed them to the palace. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
This is Gidan Sarkin Nasarawa, where His Royal Highness Aminu Ado Bayero is currently residing. He's been backed by the court, and his supporters are very happy to be with him all the time. Right now, they are waiting for his arrival. Traditionally, he's expected to come out in a royal horse to address them, to smile at them, and they appreciate them for all their support.
After a few moments of waiting, the trumpets began to sound, and the royal horse was released for the Emir Aminu Ado Bayero to mount. Like his rival Muhammad Sanusi II, the deposed Emir continued to receive homage amidst chants of praises from his subject.
The governor should have to follow the instructions of the court for sacking the emirs. Governor don't have the right to sack our emir.
He's a brother. That is the person we are calling Sunusi. If the people have a mind, in God in mind, it's not the type of person who can bring this problem to Kano people. There are the people who love Kano people. There are the people who love themselves better than people.
In 2 days, they created the laws without following due process, without public hearing. Like we have this guy, Rano, Karai, you have to call on those people, go and meet them. Do you like this emirate or you don't like them? Then you can do whatever the people decide, because it's government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Let me cite an example. For now, who is the governor of Kano? Abba Kabir Yusuf is the governor of Kano. So for a couple of days, he has been sleeping in the palace. Nothing stops him from being a governor because he sleeps in the palace. He is still a governor. So the emir is still the emir, whether he's in the main palace or here. Here is also another palace. And he is the one that has been recognized by the law. So by law, Emir Aminu is the emir.
And that was another victory parade, but this time from the court-backed Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Aminu Ado Bayero. The wait continues until June, where the final judgment will be delivered and the new Emir of Kano will be announced. In Kano State for News Central, I'm Emmanuel Bagudu.
The Bayelsa and Kogi State Governorship Election Petition Court sitting in Abuja have affirmed the victories of Governors Doyediri of Bayelsa and Usman Ododo of Kogi in the November 11th off-cycle polls. In a unanimous judgment, both tribunals held that the petitions were lacking in merit and the petitioners failed to prove their cases before the courts. Marvelous Obomanu tells us more.
A sound of victory and a clear reason to celebrate by supporters of the Bayelsa and Kogi State governors, chanting songs in celebration following the decision by both tribunals which reaffirmed the election victories of their principals. In the case of Bayelsa, Justice Adekunle Adeleye-led 3-member tribunal dismissed the petition filed by the All Progressives Congress and its candidate, Timipre Silva, as lacking in merit. This did not go down well with the petitioner.
Well, unfortunately, the decision was given by the tribunal today against us. We are officers in the Temple of Justice. We will study the judgment and then we shall decide what to do.
The case of our opponents was built on a very weak foundation. And if you listen to the judgment, you see that their case, the evidence was deficient both in quality and in quantity. And as the court said, the allegations were not proved.
This judgment is fair, and I want all parties to accept this. You know, Kogi State belongs to each and every one of us, as we contribute not only in Kogi State but in Project Nigeria. But today's judgment has affirmed the victory of the incumbent governor.
Also, the 3-member panel of justices reviewing the Kogi State election, led by Justice Yusuf Brenin Kudu, held that the petitioners did not provide sufficient evidence to prove their case.
Never in the history of our electoral matters did the petitioners in this case go the extra mile to secure beavers machines that were used for this election. And not only that, the contents were demonstrated in the open to the hearing of everyone in an attempt to prove overvoting. And the evidence in that regard was overwhelming. And that was supposed to be a game changer, a turning point in our electoral process. But in the judgment delivered, the tribunal, in its wisdom, decided to jettison the evidence of PW1 and INEC staff
The judgment has just been delivered, and what would I say? We are happy that the way we have seen it from day one is exactly the way the tribunal has seen it by way of its judgment today. So we are happy.
By this decision, all the legal disputes around the Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi state elections have been laid to rest for now. The petitioners still reserve the right to appeal. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obonman.
A security expert says President Bola Tinubu has recorded significant improvement on the fight against security challenges which hitherto jeopardized socio-economic and political development of the country. Dr. Yahuza Getso noted that security situations, especially in the northern part of the country, has improved. According to him, the appointment of the right persons into strategic offices and other measures made this possible. He added that the working synergy between the security agencies and effective monitoring of their performance by the Office of the National Security Advisor also contributed immensely in crippling Boko Haram insurgency, with many of the extremists surrendering to the constituted authority. To discuss this analysis, we're joined by security expert Chidi Omeje. Chidi, thank you for joining us. Let's start with Dr. Gatso's analysis, his assessment of the security under the current administration, and he scored the Tinubu administration 70% for its efforts. Do you agree with this evaluation?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me. I think the individual you referenced, I think is very generous with his score. I wouldn't think, I wouldn't give this administration up to 70%. I would be in the neighborhood of 40%, 40 to 45, percent. And that's because it is very clear to everybody that security situation in the country has not significantly improved. We are still living with, attacks here and there. I mean, the first indicator is the fact that we have so many theaters of operations opened by the military. In the Northeast, you have, the counterterrorism operation going on. Not in the Northwest, you have, our troops battling cross-border bandits and kidnappers. Down to North Central, you have the same, operations, battling kidnappers, trying to, bring peace among the farmers, headers, clashes, and all that. Then down to the Southeast, you also have, what they call Operation Udoka in that region, trying to calm down the agitators and ongoing main. Then the South, you have, Operation Delta Save, trying to battle, they're out there to battle oil thieves and people who attack our maritime assets. You also have that you have a level of, military operation in the Southwest. So the crisis is raging more or less. I mean, here every now and then we hear about, bandits sacking communities in Katsina, in Zamfara, and a number of places. So I cannot say that the administration has scored up to 70%. If it's 70%, it means that you have little or no battle on your hands. But as we speak today, a lot of communities are still under siege of these bandits, and kidnappers have not down their tools. So I won't agree totally with the individual, but I can say I can really give them up to 40%. That's my assessment.
Can you tell us if any progress has been made, particularly in reducing incidents of kidnapping and banditry in the Northwest and North Central?
Yeah, I mean, if you compare the figures, you will probably come to the conclusion that there's not much difference between now and maybe the tail end of Buhari's tenure. Yes, it's still the same old story of sporadic attacks here and there, in especially in Northwest and North Central. But then, where I can see visible respite is in the Northeast, where our resilient troops have been able to contain significantly the activities of terrorists. But I mean, banditry is still not, it hasn't been caged. But we hope that if we put our minds to it, if our security agencies continue to collaborate more, probably we will see better results going forward.
Would you say the disarmament and reintegration program for former terrorists and militants described as repentant has been a success?
Well, I've written tons of articles on that issue, the so-called repentant Boko Haram surrendered, terrorist fighters. Don't forget that the whole idea started with what they call Operation Safe Corridor, where federal government, in partnership with some, international agencies, try to profile those who say they have surrendered, and then try to de-radicalize them, and then probably reintegrate them to the society. But you and I know that this has always been a very contentious issue in the polity. I mean, Nigerians are not convinced that those chaps, that those guys who say they have repented, have actually repented. So we have read occasions where they relapsed, where they, those people who say they have repented went back to violence. So you see, it's something that is a very delicate situation, really, because you have to balance retributive justice and restorative justice. Yeah, and that's why the fine art of statecraft comes in. How are you going to, allow retributive justice to play in place of restorative justice? You have to blend this to make sure that much as you do not, just give them blanket amnesty, you also have to consider weighing the fact that it's important to encourage those who really want to drop their arms. So, by and large, I think is a process that we have to, really be very careful about, so that we do not, play into the hands of those guys who are not really sincere about what they're saying.
Judy, thank you as always for speaking with us. We appreciate the insights you provide.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
One of our headline stories tonight is that the Nigeria's Minister of Aviation has reaffirmed the suspension of the controversial Nigeria Air project, saying its implementation will not benefit the country. Nigeria's Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development made this known during the Ministerial Scorecard Review as part of the activities marking the May 29 first-year anniversary of the current administration. My colleague Amadine Uyi reports.
Today's session witnessed the updates from the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security and the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, one of the hosts of the event, says that it is in line with President Bola Tinubu's desire to keep Nigerians up to date on his achievements.
This, of course, is in line with the desire of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu not to dwell on fanfare in his first year anniversary, but be fully accountable to Nigerians by projecting his successes recorded in the federal government's development objectives known as the New Hope Agenda.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security first gave his update, revealing that much has been achieved in the area of dry season farming.
We are on course to fully achieving year-round farming. In this regard, the objective is to ensure that subsidized inputs and other targeted benefits get to the genuine farmers whose production, when ramped up, will, along with other factors in the macroeconomic environment, reduce food inflation that has become a concern to Mr. President and his administration.
Then the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development took his turn giving an update on their achievements.
What we did in the aviation sector when we came on board 9 months ago was to set 5 focus areas that were extracted from these general 8 priority areas. We identified 5 focus areas that we're going to concentrate on in the aviation sector.
He also updated those present on the controversial Nigeria Air project, giving reasons why it was suspended.
There was not an Air Nigeria. It was only painted Air Nigeria. It was an Ethiopian airline trying to fly our flag. If it is so, why not allow our local people to fly our flag? Why bring a foreigner to fly our flag? So nobody should deceive you that it was Air Nigeria. Air Nigeria must be indigenous, must be wholly Nigeria, or must be for the full benefits of Nigeria. Not that 60% of the profit was another country. How does that benefit us? How? It remains suspended. It remains so.
Both ministers say they are on course to ensure that their ministries achieve deliverables set by the Renewed Hope agenda. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Now, over 100 suspected hoodlums attacked a police station in Ipaja area of Lagos on Monday morning. Eyewitness account has it that the incident might not have been unconnected to the police raid on motorcycle riders in the area. We have details in this report.
Residents of Olatiju Ilesomi Ipaja Ayobo in the Alimosho local government area of Lagos State Monday morning woke up to the chaos characterized by sporadic gunshots, which they say resulted from the crossfire between the men of the Ipaja Police Command and members of the commercial motorbike operators, popularly known as Okada riders.
Earlier this morning around 7:30 a.m., we started hearing gunshots around our area. So we were wondering what would have happened. Then suddenly we started, seeing people running helter-skelter on our streets. So I saw policemen, running after some of these Hausa Okada riders. The Hausa Okada riders were having a protest this morning, and that they had already started planning to move towards the Ipaja police station to, face the police headlong and fight them, and they were able to repel them into Baroa inside exits back again. So they were pursuing them, and then some of them were running into our streets.
This man that handled this house, this very house, we have been calling him to order before today, that we should do something about the bus that is coming in here. But he did not. From this place, my brother, because they brought five or six trucks, the tax force truck, and they fill all.
On a visit to the Ipaja Police Command in the absence of the DPO, the DCO, SPO Ogundikwe, who spoke to News Central off camera, confirmed the incident and the arrest of several parties suspected to be responsible for the attack. We were, however, shown this vehicle belonging to a resident who was caught up in the heat of the clash and had his vehicle attacked by one of the Okada riders. Addressing a cross-section of newsmen on the matter, the Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundain said two of the attackers were fatally injured.
The hoodlums attacked the station with dangerous weapons, including firearm. They were shooting at the officers. The officers repelled the attack. I can confirm that two of the hoodlums were fatally injured, but it's still an ongoing investigation, and I would provide updates as they come. So we're able to impound over 200 motorcycles. So normalcy has been restored and everything is fine now.
Cases of attacks and misdemeanor by Okada riders in the state have been known to be on the rise, with residents crying out severally with what seems like no hope in sight for an end to such attacks. But this attack on the police formation in Ipaja is indeed one attack too many. For News Central, Marshal Anthony Onoye.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, on Children's Day, as part of activities to commemorate President Bola Tinubu's first-year anniversary in office, has splashed the sum of 160 million naira on 16 schools in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. She made the announcement at an event to mark Children's Day at the State House Conference Center, Abuja. The First Lady said the grant of 10 million naira each from the Renewed Hope initiative to the schools that participated in the Children's Day activities is to support their developmental needs.
Even as we continue to seek pathways to address these challenges, through the Renewed Hope initiative, I am taking action to support the President's efforts by implementing programs focused on education, agriculture, healthcare, and improving family lives in general. On behalf of the Renewed Hope initiative, each participant school will be given a grant of the sum of 10 million naira towards their school's developmental needs. All the monies are not for the teacher or the principals, but there are guidelines to how they access these funds so that they will be put into good use. I want to reassure you that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, is committed to building a nation where every Nigerian child can reach their full potential.
To Southern Africa now. Early voting began in South Africa's general election on Monday as those who must work on polling day or have special needs were given a chance to cast their ballots. According to the Independent Electoral Commission, around 1.6 million out of the 27.6 million strong electorate were allowed to go early. Election agents will visit 624,000 people with mobility issues at home, while essential workers will attend polling stations 2 days earlier than the general populace. On Wednesday, the rest of the country will be called to vote in South Africa's 6th general election, 3 decades after the advent of democracy in 1994. The vote could prove a historic turning point if, as opinion polls predict, the ruling African National Congress loses its absolute parliamentary majority for the first time. Let's now go to our business desk for today's business stories.
Talking business tonight, Nigerians are consuming more content on the internet at an unprecedented pace, with monthly usage up by more than 501.99% since 2019. This surge has been fueled by the growing appetite for streaming services and other online activities accessible primarily through the smartphone. According to data from the Nigerian Communications Commission, monthly internet usage grew from 125,149.86 terabytes as of December 2019 to 753,388.77 terabytes as of March 2024. Also, an analysis by Business Day shows that the monthly amount spent on internet access has risen to 216.59 billion naira from 35.98 billion naira, with the average price of 1 gigabyte at 287 naira 5 kobo. Away from that, increasing data revenue suggests that telecommunication firms are earning more due to their significant investments in network infrastructure. MTN Nigeria and Airtel Africa, the country's two publicly traded mobile network providers, have seen a consistent increase in their service revenues over the years. This success comes after substantial investments. MTN invested 1.78 trillion naira in its network infrastructure between 2020 and 2023, while Airtel invested $1.14 billion during the same period. Airtel Nigeria's data revenues increased from 28.81 billion naira in June 2019 to 151.15 billion naira in March 2024, with average customer data usage increasing from 1.63 gigabytes to 6.3 gigabytes per month. Similarly, MTN's average data usage per customer rose to 10.1 gigabytes as of the end of Q1 2024. Finally, French oil firm Total Energies is moving to invest $600 million to strengthen exploration and production activities in the Republic of Congo in 2024, snubbing the Nigerian oil and gas sector for the second time in quick succession. Patrick Poyane, Total Energies' CEO, stated last week in Kenya that the company chose to invest $6 billion in Angola over Nigeria due to policy inconsistencies and other issues in the West African country. Following this development, the company announced a $600 million investment in Congo for oil production and exploration, once again overlooking Nigeria, Africa's largest oil producer. And that's all on business news for tonight. To stay with us, we still have more to come. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
Entertainment. Police in Lagos State are set to prosecute a blogger named Stanley for allegedly defaming businessman Imani in an online video. The suspect was apprehended by a crack squad of the command in Uromi, Edo, following an investigation prompted by a petition from Imani. The police spokesperson, SP Benjamin Hundeyin, emphasized that defamatory acts on social media are criminal offenses and urged victims to report such incidents to the police. Hundeyin warned social media users against disseminating harmful content and emphasized that false information could lead to legal consequences. That the blogger admitted to fabricating false claims about Imani in the video to increase his page's followership and acknowledged that his actions were wrong and unintended. You know, this just leaves me wondering how much influence social media has on people, so much so that anyone will sit at the comfort of their homes and make such bold claims about someone you know absolutely nothing about. Of course, we hope that this would serve as an example to other social media users, particularly in Nigeria. And now away from the continent, at Bottle Rock Napa Valley 2024, Pearl Jam surprised fans by inviting Bradley Cooper to perform Maybe It Is Time from A Star Is Born. Cooper, known for his role as Jackson Maine in the 2018 film, joined Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder for an acoustic rendition of the song. Vedder had previously covered the song during the solo performance in 2019. Cooper also joined Pearl Jam for their cover of Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World during the festival. Before his role in A Star Is Born, Cooper spent time with Vedder to learn about the rockstar lifestyle, receiving advice such as ensuring his guitar covered his midsection. Cooper's portrayal in the film earned him an Oscar for Best Original Song alongside Lady Gaga for Shallow. And that's how we wrap up entertainment news tonight. We'll go on a short break and return with the latest on what's trending tonight. Let us now move away from entertainment news and tell you what is trending in our latest stories today. The federal government has confirmed that the Nigeria Air project remains suspended, as stated by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, during a ministerial press briefing in Abuja. The project, initially unveiled in 2023 under former Minister Hadi Siraka, faced criticism due to concerns over ownership, particularly Ethiopian Airlines' 49% stake. Keyamo emphasized that any future carrier must be wholly Nigerian-owned for the country's full benefits, highlighting the current ownership structure's shortcomings. This, of course, is definitely one of those stories where Nigerians will not fail to share their thoughts and express themselves on social media. Let us now head on to X and see how Nigerians reacted to this story. A tweet here from Alvison is saying, Nigerian Air project was all a scam from the onset. The looting was very loud, nothing to resuscitate here. Make una return the money back to Nigeria. And that's all for tonight on What's Trending, but you can share your thoughts as well across our social media platforms at News Central TV. I am Jadel Simon.